Hey, baseball fans, I'm Buster Olney. And on the latest Baseball Tonight podcast, there's only one thing we know for sure. There's going to be a lot of joy in a Game 7, and there's going to be a lot of heartbreak. We talked with Keith Law and Doug Glanville about that.
Don Le Batard.
I hate that there are a bunch of people on Radio Row, all of them with plumbers' butt, sitting around elbowing each other, big dogs and little dogs and yapping dogs and rabid dogs, sitting there waiting for the shortstop for the Seattle Mariners to make his way through.
Stugatz.
We have plumber's butt, but our butts are in Miami.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Jeff Passan going to join us in just a second here on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. World Series, Cubs at Indians, Game 7 tonight. Kyle Hendricks for the Cubs, Corey Kluber for the Cleveland Indians, 8 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Yesterday, Carolina Panthers quarterback Cam Newton and NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, they spoke over the phone about the recent hits that Newton has taken and how he's not being protected by game officials. And Cam's right about that. He is right, and Roger Goodell needs to do something about it. And finally, Ballers is leaving Miami to film in Los Angeles instead. This SportsCenter is brought to you by JCPenney. Hurry into JCPenney's Lucky Day sale and get great deals throughout the store for just $7. Plus, get $10 off when you spend $25 or more with a coupon. That's getting your pennies worth, JCPenney. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
That Ballers news is bad news for you.
Horrible news for me.
We were supposed to be on Ballers, and somebody at ESPN squashed it, and now Ballers had come back around, and we were going to be in the next season of Ballers. But if Ballers leaves Miami, they're not going to fly us to Los Angeles to do Ballers.
No. Can I fly myself to Los Angeles and be in Ballers? Is that a possibility?
I'm not going to Los Angeles to do Ballers, so.
Well, is this a like it's me and you or nothing? Like,
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know.
Oh, you wouldn't fly to L.A. with me so we can be on Ballers?
No.
Come on, man. I mean, that'd be a fun trip. You and I get to be on Ballers, HBO, big time.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
All right.
Jeff Passan, Yahoo Sports, with us on ESPN Radio.
Upsetting, man.
Be mad at them because they moved to Los Angeles.
If there was something that was really, really important to you, and, you know, you said, Stugatz, this is really important to me.
I'll do it if you surgically implant a selfie stick in your left arm.
Okay, I'm thinking about doing this. I am. I mean, it would probably hurt my golf game, but I'm thinking about doing it. But just before we get to pass it, you said, Stugatz, we got to hop on this bird and go across the country. There's something that's really important to me.
Calling a plane a bird, jerk or no jerk, Guillermo, at Le Batard Show. We got to hop on this bird? Who does that, man?
All right, but I would do it for you.
All right, save it for a second. Just save it for a second. Jeff Passan of Yahoo Sports with us on ESPN Radio. Mike, do we know what the biggest baseball televised number is? Jeff, tonight, thank you for joining us. Is this going to be the biggest game in the history of baseball? I'm not even kidding.
I'm sorry I interrupted your marital spat there. It's like you two are two old people asking to go to Palm Springs for the weekend, and the other one doesn't want to.
Yep, that's exactly what
Lord.
it is. Yes,
exactly
that's
right.
exactly
Yes.
it. Yep.
I don't know if this is the biggest number ever because, look, like television ratings just aren't what they used to be anywhere. There are too many choices these days. There are too many things. That being said, it's got to be damn close to it. In my column today, I said it's going to be 30 or 40 or 50 million. I don't know how many tens of millions of people are going to tune in, but pretty much the only thing that could be bigger than this is if the Cleveland Indians were the Boston Red Sox or New York Yankees, and that's just because they have a greater sized fan base. Just for the casual fan, I don't know if it gets better than 108 versus 68, which is what the years are that these teams have waited for a championship.
I do really think you can make a decent argument that this is the biggest baseball game ever played.
Yeah. And listen, a lot of times I worry that I'm getting caught up in prisoner of the moment, thinking that saying this is the biggest series in decades is too much, or saying that this is the biggest game ever is an exaggeration. But it's it's up there. And you're right, there is a good argument to be made. And last night I was talking with some people. I just said, as someone who loves baseball and who's sort of annoyed that the average fan is like a 57-year-old white guy and that it's just known as this old, boring sport, I really hope tonight's game is a good game, because this is baseball's biggest showcase that I can remember covering the sport, and I've been doing it for 13 years now.
According to Wikipedia, baseball ratings for individual games have only been available since 1996, so the highest rating was Game 7, 2001. Should not come as a surprise, coming off 9/11, that Yankees-Diamondbacks Game 7. They got a 39.1.
Yeah, I think this is going to wreck that, actually.
Jeff Passan with us here on ESPN Radio. Francona or Madden, which manager has impressed you more? Not in this series, throughout this playoff run.
Oh, Francona. It's not even close. Like, Joe Madden's had a fine playoffs, but I didn't get the sense of urgency from him until, honestly, Game 5 when he brought Aroldis Chapman in. There have been a couple of moves where you shake your head at them. I haven't really shook my head at anything Terry Francona has done this postseason. And I've seen him for, of the 14 games they've played, I think I've been there for 11 of them. Maybe 12 of them, and honestly, it's unlike anything I've ever seen from a manager in a postseason. And that includes all of Bruce Bochy's, where he won 3 World Series. Terry Francona has done everything right. It's been incredible to watch. The way that he has partitioned innings out so that nearly half of them have gone to Kluber, Miller, and Allen. The way he's worked around his injuries, and more than anything, Terry Francona has always been known as a player's manager. But what does that actually mean? I think what that means is when you have a good and strong enough relationship with your players that you go to them and ask them to do things unfamiliar and potentially uncomfortable to them, and they have so much respect for you that they don't question you, but the mere act of being asked by this guy to do this imbues you with confidence that you can actually do it. That is managing. That is managing at any different business. You can look at it across the board. It's giving someone the ability to believe they can do something that they themselves may not think they can. And Terry Francona has done that with the Indians, who frankly have been less talented than the Red Sox, than the Blue Jays, and now than the Cubs all throughout the playoffs.
That's really well put. Jeff Passan with us on Yahoo. He's Yahoo Sports. You can check him out. He's with us on ESPN Radio. Stugotz, I hear people talking, as it's tough to get runs, about the idea of small ball. Smoltz and A-Rod have been talking about the importance of small ball. So here's some numbers for you here. Okay. In the playoffs, if you out-homer the other team, you're 26-1. Sack bunts, there have been 13 in 33 games that have led to 5 runs.
Wow.
5 runs total. Get the small ball talk out of here. If you hit more home runs than the other guys, you win the game, period. Like, why are we still obsessed with some of this old thinking, Jeff, in terms of, I mean, it's not small ball. Small ball is totally irrelevant, that we've moved beyond that time.
I think because it's the generation of players that's calling the game. Now, and I listen, I haven't seen much of A-Rod and Smoltz, but frankly, I've read or been told or heard they've been very good throughout the postseason.
They are very good.
Excellent.
They're very good. They're just wrong about that.
Yeah. Yeah, that being said, they are like the last scion of small ball. I feel like anybody who's coming up in this generation of baseball right now understands that the sacrifice bunt is a waste. Tonight's game, guys, is about who can get 27 outs first. If someone is gifting you an out, you take it, and you have a big freaking smile on your face because of it. What happened last night? Chris Bryant hit the tank in the first inning, and all of a sudden, oh my God, the Cubs, they're starting to hit again. Then Addison Russell goes and hits a grand slam, and the game is over by the 3rd inning. I mean, it is done. We're all sitting there and saying Game 7. You hit home runs, you win baseball games. It is simple as that, and if you're not going to be hitting a home run tonight, if you're going to be trying to bunt instead, they should stick you on the bench.
I love this, Stugotz, because a guy writes in, and whenever you start attacking the belief systems of people, guy writes in, no way, small ball is not totally irrelevant. I'm going to read you the numbers again.
Okay.
And in the year where we had fewer sacrifice bunts in the sport than we've ever had, 33 games, 13 sack bunts. That's 33 games, 13 sacrifice bunts, 5 runs. That's all the teams.
Right.
All the playoffs.
Here is the one situation, Dan, where I think it might end up being relevant. You have to remember, we have the NL ERA leader on the mound for the Cubs and Kyle Hendricks tonight, and the guy who has been had one of the best postseason pitching runs of all time in Corey Kluber. He's got a sub-1 ERA in 30-plus innings. If we're getting to the 5th or 6th inning and the score is 0-0 and Andrew Miller and Cody Allen are looming for the Cubs, maybe they do want to get that one run. Maybe they do play for one run at that point.
Okay,
but
that's fair.
Yeah,
again,
fine. That's fair enough. But again, all of these games have been decided by home runs. All of them.
Yeah, but if you get a leadoff double, if you get a leadoff double and Miller's on the hill and you want to move the guy over to get him the third just to get that one run, I get that. I'm fine with that. I'm with passing on that.
Yeah, I'm with you. But that is why, and I made this argument a couple of years ago before Game 7 in 2014. To me, Game 7 of the World Series is truly the most interesting event in sports because, and I repeated this today in my column, in football, you have your game plan, you stick to it. There's not a whole lot of trickeration in the Super Bowl. Basketball is such a superstar-centric sport. You know who's going to be dominating and who's going to get the usage on the ball. Hockey, it's not like they're changing their lines or their strategies or anything like that. Baseball, it's madness in Game 7. John Lester is going to come out of the bullpen tonight. You know, Andrew Miller may throw 3 innings for the first time in who knows how long. You could see long balls. You could see small balls. You don't know what's going to happen. And so it's the intrigue and the managerial strategizing that makes tonight such a potentially dynamic baseball game.
Jeff, can you articulate for us and for the audience just how good Andrew Miller is?
I believe I wrote earlier in the playoffs, it's like his slider is spawned on the banks of the Styx. And it's just like a little demon that's practically unhittable. I mean, Cody Allen put it really well. He's like, the thing goes to the plate, and it's spinning, and you think it's spinning like a normal slider, and you see the dot because, when a slider is thrown, you see a dot on the front of the ball, and if you're a hitter, that's your cue that this is a slider. And then Allen was like, and then it's like somebody punches it, and it goes 3 feet off course. It's just been a damn near unhittable pitch, and he throws it 60% of the time. And then when he's not throwing it, he comes back with a fastball at 95 to 97. And, as great as Zach Britton was this year, and he deserved all of the plaudits that he got, there's a very good argument to be made that Andrew Miller was the best relief pitcher in the American League. He struck out 123 and walked 9 this year. And if that doesn't impress you, I'm not sure what will.
So, no, you can't articulate it. No, you cannot. Thank you for being on with us, Jeff. We appreciate it.
Thank you, boys. Have a good one.
All right, Jeff.
Break out the Stugat's favorite time of the day. At time.
I love how mad Mike Ryan gets when there's an Andrew Miller discussion because he was a Miami Marlin at one point.
Yeah, had an ERA of 5. He wasn't unhittable. He was the most hittable thing in the sport. ERA over 5.
Could it be possible that there is another Andrew Miller?
Mike gets really mad whenever we start talking about this demon from, what did he say? From the River Styx? I mean, what?
He said there's a chance that Andrew Miller,
right,
the guy that used to pitch for the Florida Marlins, I'm being told,
right,
may have to go 3 innings. And he's saying that as if it's like...
Yes, it's horrific for the Cubs. Yes.
What?
Yes. Andrew Miller. That's right. ERA over 5 with the Marlins. Was not unhittable, was the single most hittable thing throwing baseballs from a mound in the sport.
He couldn't go 3 innings as a starter.
That's right. That was a success if he, as a starter, got you to the 4th inning.
It's a quality start for him.
As a Marlin. That midweek growth is showing on your face. Take care of it by using the tools from the good folks at Dollar Shave Club. Why? Because they do really good work. Tell them, Stugat.
They do, and over 3 million members agree, and they no longer overpay for a quality morning shave, and new members can get their first month for free. Did you hear me? First month for free. Listen how. DSC is so much more than just razors. Before I tell you how, they have everything, guys. Pre- and post-shave formulas, skin protection formulas, killer hairstyling products, and an amazing soap and body wash. Their products work amazingly. The service is world-class, and there's no commitment, no hidden fees. Cancel whenever you want. Get your first month free right now at dollarshaveclub.com/Dan. Just pay shipping. After that, it's just a few bucks. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Dan.
Party in the city where the heat is on with the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio. Dan Le Batard. Stugats.
And also,
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
are you blaming someone else?
No, I'm not. Dan, I lost the liner.
Stugats
I'm not
is
blaming anyone.
rummaging through the garbage
I
can.
found it. If you missed any of the show, you can listen to all 3 hours of the Dan Le Batard Show on demand in the ESPN app, plus our Miami-only hour that airs before the show. And now you can subscribe to our Best of podcast. It's all available in the Listen tab of the ESPN app. I was not blaming anyone, but in an emergency, it was nice to see how many people in the other room actually, got off their seats to kind of help me out here. I mean, I said I couldn't find the liner, and no one did a single thing. I mean, everyone just sat there. Seriously, if you guys were in an emergency, who would be the first one to get out of their seats to help you out?
You're right. I shouldn't hit the rejoin or the music to help you look for your sheet of paper.
Wasn't referring to you specifically.
Stugats does have some issues with the way this show is produced. Stugats does have some issues. He does. Stugats used to be a producer and feels like everyone should leap up like popcorn kernels anytime that he needs something. He thinks all four of you should just, I'm telling you.
Well, listen, it's the product of the guy's show that I was producing, because that's the way he made me feel. So I'm not saying it's the right way. It's just, it was his way. And
Are you kidding me?
No.
No.
Hold
Are you
on.
kidding me?
Hold on a second.
First, for you to accuse of that not being the case is amazing. Also, there are so many things in place, well-produced things in place to help prevent any of that from happening.
You're right.
And it's all undone by you being unorganized.
You didn't let me finish, man, because I was going to say no one in my entire life, I don't think, has done more for me over the years than Mike Ryan. I was going to say that. And Mike knows that because he knows how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Okay?
I think you're being hyperbolic.
No, I'm not.
And
Please
it's
leave it.
sincere.
No, Michael. Please.
Oh, you got a Michael. Okay, hold on a second. Let's backtrack.
I
Let's
mean,
let's
I want-
recover.
that's
I wanna
unfair,
hear it.
Mike.
Go ahead,
Hold on.
BS me. I want to hear it. Give it to me.
All right, go
Give me the whole thing.
I mean, just whenever I need someone to talk to, I don't call my wife. I don't call Dan. I don't call my mom. I don't call my dad. I call Mike Ryan. And whether it's 5 minutes or an hour and 5 minutes, Mike Ryan is patient with me, and he sits there, and we talk on the phone.
He's giving you the good stuff, Mike.
Yep. That's what he does for me. And he'll, at times check in, see how my family's doing, see how my kids are doing, which is very, very nice of him. I know how difficult I can be, and I also know how patient Mike is with me most of the time.
Mike just said, I don't do that.
He's never done that. I just felt like I should throw it in just to paint the bigger
mind.
picture.
You're terrible at even bad sincerity. You're terrible at.
But the conversation part, I'm right. Am I dead on, Mike?
Dead on.
Dead on.
I mean, I know what that's code for.
What?
Whenever it is that I've got complaints about Dan, I talk to Mike for an hour. I know what that's about. Like, did you think you're making this all worse? All of this is being made worse by you trying to make it better.
These are your own insecurities showing right now. I mean, I didn't say anything about you,
I know
man.
what those phone calls for an hour are
Did
about.
not sit.
Right.
No, they're about life, man. Just life. Okay.
All right, let's backtrack for a second here. Stugats is mad at me because I won't get on a plane to fly to Los Angeles to go do Ballers.
A bird.
Yeah.
Bird, excuse me. Let's update some of these polls in a second.
All right.
He's mad at me. I'd get on a plane to do stuff for Stugats, even though I won't get on a plane for much of anything except Pablo's cruddy wedding. Somebody wrote in, hey, Dan, Lyle Lovett called. He wants his tuxedo back. Wow.
That's a good reference.
It is. It's perfect, actually.
It's pretty good. Somebody else writes in asking if the ventriloquist dummy that I'm going to use is also going to have a matching tux.
You're not going to make me laugh harder than Lyle Lovett.
Lyle Lovett's pretty good.
Poster boy for out kicking the coverage.
Oh, no doubt. What are you going to do here with the tux, honestly? What are
I
you
don't
gonna
know.
do? You don't know yet?
I don't know. I'm going to wing it.
By the way, Mike's help with the weekend observations, all the jokes he feeds me in my headsets. I mean, he's a great producer, but I mean, in that spot,
Why would you feel the need to lie in the middle of that Mike calls you to ask you how your family's doing? Like, why? Well,
occasionally he checks in on them.
I just don't. You are. He's a pathological liar. Stugatz, I'm willing to clinically diagnose him as a pathological liar, someone who needs lying the way the rest of us need oxygen. Go ahead and let's update the poll here. But anyway, the point is, I'm not going to Los Angeles for ballers. I'd go to Los Angeles if you actually needed something. I'm not going to Los Angeles to be on ballers. Barely wanted to be on ballers when it was here in Miami. And the only reason I did that is because I wanted to be a part of something that was in Miami.
All right. So, but it's important to me.
Yeah, don't care.
Like,
Mike, you'll be getting an hour-long phone call later today.
Well, again, your insecurities are showing. We don't talk about you ever. But I'm wondering, like,
Mike, put that on the lie detector. I want one of the lie detector questions the next time he's on the lie detector to be every 1 hour conversation with Mike that Stugatz has. Is it complaining about Dan? You are bleeped, mother bleeper.
Bienvenido a Miami on the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio. Dan Le Batard.
If you didn't hear or see the racism and the way those University of Miami football teams are covered, then you wear a Klan hood.
Stugatz.
Easy Street Band.
The Easy Street Band?
Yeah.
No.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Author John Ronson going to be there in just a second. Here's your SportsCenter update. World Series, Cubs at Indians. Game 7 tonight. Kyle Hendricks for the Cubs. Corey Kluber for the Indians. 8 Eastern right here on ESPN Radio. Yesterday, Carolina Panthers quarterback Cam Newton and NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell spoke over the phone about the recent hits that Newton has taken and how he's not being protected by game officials. And finally, Adele says she was drunk while writing the majority of her album, 21. This SportsCenter is brought to you by JCPenney. Hurry into JCPenney's Lucky Day sale and get great deals throughout the store for just $7. Plus, get $10 off when you spend $25 or more with coupon. That's getting your pennies worth, JCPenney. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
We've run out of time here. Allison, for tomorrow, these are the 3 guests that I would like and nobody else after Game 7 of the World Series. I want that woman who won $43 million at a jackpot machine, and then she was told that the jackpot machine malfunctioned, and they just gave her, the casino did, a steak dinner. I want the woman who farted during surgery and started a fire with a laser. And I want that guy in Wisconsin whose name is doo-wop, biddy-bop, bop, bop, diddy-wop, bop, bop.
That's it? Because right now I'm looking at tomorrow's schedule. Ric Flair is on there.
Okay, that's fine. That too, but Ric Flair gets bumped for all of those people. John Ronson is with us right now on ESPN Radio. Last time we talked to him about So You've Been Publicly Shamed. It's a book that he wrote that's very interesting, and he was very good. And he's got a new Kindle book, The Elephant in the Room. It's available now at Amazon.com. And one of the things that he writes about, and thank you for joining us, John, again, is the idea that the same traits that you will find in a CEO are traits that you will find in a total sociopathic killer. So what can you tell us about that as a sentence?
Oh, sure. I should say that that's actually a different book I wrote called The Psychopath Test, but luckily it is a book I wrote, so I can talk about it. Yeah, the statistic is that 1 in 100 regular people is a psychopath, but that figure rises to 4% of CEOs and business leaders. You're 4 times more likely to have a psychopath at the top of the tree than at the bottom. And do you want to know why that is?
Of course.
Of course, yes.
Well, I would say there's 2 reasons. I'd say it's internal and external. If you're an actual psychopath and you have no empathy, then what's left is the will to win. So if you're a psychopath, you want to just win at all costs. And then if you are society, if you're the shareholders, you love psychopaths because they've got no empathy, they've got no remorse. These are positive business traits in our out-of-control system. And so all the items on the psychopath checklist are also perceived to be business positives.
Give us all of them, or as many as you're willing to talk about. Give us as many as you can.
Okay, I'll give you as many as I can remember without having my book in front of me. Pathological lying, which, by the way, what's interesting about pathological lying is that when a psychopath lies pathologically, they also have no embarrassment when they're caught lying. So for instance, if they lie about a sex tape that doesn't exist, and then they're caught out on it, they don't care. No embarrassment. Lack of remorse, lack of empathy, promiscuous sexual behaviour, which that one surprises me because I look back on those times, with some fondness. Many short-term marital relationships, impulsivity, irresponsibility, grandiose sense of self-worth.
I mean, how have you underachieved this way, Stugotz? How have you underachieved? Why are you not running an empire as a CEO, killing people? Doing both, because he is describing all of the things that you are.
Except the sex.
Right, except all of the sex that you should be having that you're not having. So keep going, John. Forgive me for the interruption.
Okay. Need for stimulation, proneness to boredom, revocation of conditional release. So that basically means, let's say you go to prison and you're released on parole, then the terms of your parole, you violate the terms of your parole. I reckon I've got to about 12 there. Let me think of some more psychopathic traits.
But that's okay. Like, what is the one thing above all else? Is it a lack of empathy that you are most likely to find in both a CEO and a murderer?
Yeah, I think lack of empathy within psychopathy. Lack of empathy is like the biggie, and if you think of lack of empathy as like a kind of scorched field, then all the other traits grow where there is no empathy. What's really interesting when you think about it, like I have anxiety, and so I'm constantly feeling the unpleasant feelings of guilt and remorse and shame and so on. Psychopaths don't feel any of those things, which A, makes them really hard to treat, because why the hell would you want to, not feel good all the time? And B, it means that they could do bad things, because all the things that keep us good, like remorse and guilt, they don't have. So it kind of frees them up to be malevolent. Oh, cunning manipulative, that's another one. And another one is glibness, superficial charm. And can I say that's an interesting one, glibness, superficial charm, because it's all superficial, it's all on the surface. And if you spend time with a high-scoring psychopath like I have.
Hold on. Mike, we need to get an expert in here who tests psychopaths to see if Stugotz is a psychopath, because this guy has described Stugotz. He's describing Stugotz.
Well, John, I once fired an employee while she was at a funeral. Do I qualify?
I mean...
Yeah, I'd say you qualify.
I'm telling you, Mike, we need to get in here an expert psychopath tester to test Stugotz, because I believe we have just clinically diagnosed Stugotz, that we are doing this show on the back of a psychopath. I'm not even kidding, because what did you just say? Superficial, glib cleverness that is likable. That's how Stugotz gets away with everything.
Right. With the sense that there's nothing much going on under the surface. Can I ask you a question about your childhood?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
This is a good kind of psychopathic trick psychopathic spotting trick that I've learned. So when you were like 8 to to 10 years old, did you ever get into trouble with the school, like extreme trouble? Did you bully other kids? Did you, did you sort of burn things down or hurt animals or something when you were kind of that age?
I did none of that, no.
Oh, well, early behavior problems is like another big one. So, so you might not, I hate to tell you this, you might not be a kind of classic.
Yeah, but he might be lying to you right now because he was on to the scent of your testing.
Right, and that's one of the problems, you see. This is why psychopaths tend not get involved in their own diagnoses, because one of the items on the checklist is cunning manipulative. So if you say no to any of the other items on the checklist, then the tester will say, well, that's typical of the cunning manipulative psychopath to pretend that they don't have that trait.
There was this one time that I ate my cat.
Right. Did you really fire someone when they were at a funeral?
I did do that. But to be honest with you, when I was like 8 to 10 years old, I was very shy. I was very shy. I was a good kid. Like, I was a good student.
Right. Were you kind of anxious or nervous?
Yeah, I was I was anxious and nervous. And I still am anxious and nervous.
Oh, well, you're not, you know what? You're not a psychopath. Anxiety is like the kind of clinical opposite of psychopathy. If you feel anxiety, you're not a psychopath. A psychopath is somebody who kind of acts fast in the moment and isn't weighed down by anxiety.
Yeah, but he's a pathological liar, so he might have just been lying to you. And what I believe is happening, when you describe cunning manipulation, the problem with him is the inability to achieve cunning. See, I think he's a psychopath, but a very poor one. I think he's not very good at being a psychopath. That he has all the traits, but he doesn't do a good job of masking them.
Well, you know what? You make a good point there, because a lot of psychopaths aren't very good at it. Like, everybody thinks, oh, they're like these kind of brilliant, cunning people, but actually, when you spend time with them, you learn pretty fast that they're kind of hammy actors, because they don't feel emotions. They then sort of ape other people's emotions, but quite often they're not very good at it. One time I was with this Haitian death squad leader who was like protesting his innocence, and he started crying, and I looked up at him, and it was very obvious that he was only pretending to cry. He was like this grown man pretending to cry. So actually, a lot of psychopaths aren't that great at it.
Man, I want to talk to this guy some more about all this stuff. This is fascinating.
But that's a heady play.
Yeah, heady play by the Haitian warlord. That's right. John, thank you for being on. Again, new Kindle book, The Elephant in the Room, is available now, Amazon.com. Thank you for being on with us, John.
Hey, my pleasure. Good talking.
3:05 till I died on the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
Start your day with Barbasol Shaving Cream, America's leader for a close, comfortable shave.
Dan Le Batard.
There is nothing that I could say about anything that you, the culture around sports radio, will not find a way to argue with.
Stugats.
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. I'm sure you can find something that I won't argue about. Stop being so stupid. Yeah. Short-sighted.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
That was amazing how many traits Stugats has in common with psychopaths. Texter writes in here, dude, this is really rude what you're doing. Stugats is a compensatory narcissist, not a psychopath. Stugats has an awful lot of psychopath traits. You know who else does, by the way? Head coaches.
Yeah.
You will find in CEOs, psychopaths, and head coaches some of that same lack of empathy that you need in order to be successful and cutthroat. I'm guessing that Jim Harbaugh's got some psychopath traits. I don't know who the coaches you would go to.
Right.
That would be the top. Saban might have some psychopath traits.
Sure.
Where they just, instead of murdering people, they win college football games with the traits.
Oh, I think Saban's the perfect example. I'm guessing Belichick's probably, a pretty good example. Look, he just got rid of Jamie Collins. He'll just get rid of you and not even think twice about it.
Belichick does seem to have some of those traits.
But I will say this. I am very emotional. I'll cry at an episode of Full House, as you know, and I didn't get into any trouble between the ages of 8 and 10. I was actually a very good kid and a very shy kid. So I'm the first one to admit I'm a little bit off. I'm a little bit crazy. But I'm not a psychopath, man.
Look, man, you had 8 of the 10 checks.
Yeah.
You didn't have sex and you didn't have a crazy childhood, but you had an awful lot. You got a lot of psychopath leanings. Like, congratulations that you found the 2 things that make you slightly less of a psychopath than.
Thank God.
You seem to be. But you got the path. I think that you compensate for it by being extra double pathological liar. Like, whatever it is that you're not having in sex, you're doubling up on lying. You got double helpings. I was a good kid, but you're lying now. You're a record-setting liar. Let's update the polls. I'm serious, man.
I was a good kid.
We need to get Guinness up in here. We need to get Guinness up in here to measure who's he's not the best liar. He's the worst liar. But in terms of volume of lies, he's kind of Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron had longevity, but he's not Babe Ruth. He hit a lot of home runs for a long time.
Consistent over
but
a long period of time.
But Hank Aaron had very few 50-homer seasons.
It's not just us opining. It's backed by data when we have the lie detector specialists in here.
Yes.
The polygraph machine. He was the worst liar he'd ever seen outside of the O.J. Simpson lie detector results.
That's right. We had an actual lie. When are we getting that guy back in here? We need to do that again.
We've been compiling a master list because we don't want to just bring him in here for 5 questions. So I think we're up to 13. So I think in about 6 to 8 months from now, we should have a large enough.
6 to 8 months.
Yeah. No, you want to ask him when you have the guy for his time. You might as well ask him 40 questions because 40 costs the same as 10 if you get what I'm saying.
I remember Dan saying that's one of the most enjoyable shows for him that we've ever done. I think he wants him in here weekly. If possible.
I want him in here more.
I understand, and what I'm telling you is 6 to 8 months.
Mike's hiding a budget problem, it sounds like. Go ahead and update the polls. At Le Batard Show is where you reach us on Twitter. We got a lot of polls today.
Little step back Jay. Jerk or no jerk?
So use the phrase, little step back Jay, jerk or no jerk?
50-50 split over 5,000 votes. How about that? Is Dan being too hard on Stugatz? 51% of the audience said yes. Is this a good tuxedo or a bad tuxedo? Surprised by this. 57% of the audience said it's a bad tuxedo. Would you remove a future grid of death penalty for Dan if he does tomorrow's show in that tuxedo? 53% of the audience said no.
Sorry, Dan.
Yep, sorry about that. Jerk or no jerk? When asked for his credential, Tony La Russa flashed his World Series ring and said, how about this? 56% of the audience said jerk. Referring to $150 as $1.50, jerk or no jerk? 51% of the audience said no jerk. Did Stugatz wash one hand? 59% of the audience said no. I just said my name wrong. Is there anything wrong with pulling up your shorts or underwear to urinate out of the bottom of them? 58% of the audience said yes. Do you know who the Little Rascals are? 89% of the audience said yes. Jerk or no jerk? Referring to a plane as a bird. 68% of the audience said jerk.
So I believe we've also, through very scientific polling data, I believe that we have also determined that you're a jerk. Not just a psychopath, but a jerk. All that stuff came back ringing endorsements for your jerkitude. Texter writes in, does Popovich count as a psychopath? No, he seems to really like the people around him, and he doesn't strike me as much of a liar. He seems to have empathy, too, if you read his public comments on anything. Popovich does not seem – he does sideline interviews that are kind of cutthroat, but he actually seems superhuman.
He does. And then you see him with Sager after Sager got sick, and he's really emotional and cool and nice.
Yes, but Belichick might be. Belichick might actually be a psychopath. Put that on the scroll, Mike. Put it on the scroll. ESPN scroll.
Well, you're acting like Mike controls the scroll.
It's on there. Beep, beep, beep,
No,
beep.
send it to whatever news feed you need to send it to. I want to see reading. Man, we don't do enough with the scroll on ESPNU. I want it reading across the bottom of the screen with the Warriors-Blazers score. Just sources, : Belichick is a psychopath.
You just heard the Don Lebatard Show on ESPN Radio.
This is Larry Culpepper, inventor of the college football playoff. Goes without saying that I know about a good idea or two when it comes to college football. And the best idea out there is to subscribe to the Championship Drive podcast in the Listen tab of your ESPN app.
College football lives here. LSU is 3-0 since Ed Orgeron took over as head coach, and they've averaged over 41 points in those 3 wins.
LSU has a significant lead late.
Up next, the number 1 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide storms into Death Valley for a huge SEC showdown Saturday night.
Fumble! Alabama's got the football!
Coverage begins at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Number 1 ranked Alabama heads to Death Valley for a huge SEC showdown against LSU.
Snap! Fumble! Alabama's got the football!
Coverage begins Saturday at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.